I've got block number 18 to share with you. Hi, I'm Kathy from the Delafield Quilt Company, and today's video is block 18 of the Slow Summer Stars series. If you want to learn more about this series, check out our website at delafieldquiltco.com, and we've got a link to the series at the top of the page. I hope that you liked the video. All right, I've already got my pieces cut for this block, and I've got the variety of colors here. I've got this nice teal, a yellow, a navy, and this nice mixed colored print. And I've also got my background fabric here as well. So the cutting instructions you need for this block from fabric A are 4 3 3/4 inch squares, which I've got right here. From fabric B, 2 3 3/4 inch squares. From fabric C, we need just 1 3 3/8 inch square. From fabric D, 2 7/8 inch squares. Then from background fabric, we need 2 3 3/4 inch squares and 4 4.5 inch squares. All right, so most of these squares that I cut earlier, I'm going to actually subcut into 2 triangles. And so pretty much all of my 3 3/4 inch squares, as well as the fabric D 2 7/8 inch squares. So I'm just keeping these stacked together. I've got 4 stacked here. Just make sure my edges are nice and lined up. And then from one diagonal to the opposite diagonal, I'm just going to cut once right down that diagonal center. You may find it helpful to use your 45-degree mark on your ruler. All right, that one's done. Fabric B, same thing. I'm just going to make sure these are nice and lined up so I can just cut once. Again, I'm using my 45-degree mark. Just make sure I've got it nice and straight here. And same thing with the background fabric here. Remember, I'm just cutting the 3 3/4 inch squares. And then finally, fabric D, these little 2 7/8 inch squares. And that's pretty much all the cutting we need for this block. All right, now to assemble it, I think I'm just going to start with my middle here, the square within a square. And these 4 teal ones are going to go around this nice yellow in the middle. And to sew these together, I'm just going to find the middle point on this longest part of these triangles. And I'm going to just do that by folding that in half. I'm going to finger press it. You might want to use your iron to get a little more of a crisp marking point there. And then also I'm going to make sure I have the center point on each of the sides of the square. So I'm going to fold it in half one way, and then I'm going to fold it in half the other way. Again, you might want to use your iron just to make sure you can see those marks. And then I'm going to also do that for these other 3 teal triangles here. Getting that center point is just going to help us make sure we've got this placed right on our square. Okay, now that I have those center points, I'm just going to line those points up and then right sides together. I am just going to sew this on the edge using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You do want to use a scant 1/4 inch when sewing this. I got my points aligned, and now I'm just going to do that scant 1/4 inch. When you're done, your piece should look like this. You will have a few dog ears on the edge, but that's okay because we will take care of that next. And before I press this one side, I am going to go ahead and sew the opposite side on. Again, I'm just lining up my middle points and that scant 1/4 inch. Okay, I've got those 2 first triangles sewn on, and I did press them, and I pressed the seam so that it goes towards the triangles. I'm just going to clip off those dog ears first, and then I'm going to sew on the other 2. And same thing with these, match up those middle marks that we made earlier. And then I'm just going to sew those 2 ones on. Okay, now I've got those other two sewn, and again I press towards the triangle. And I'm just going to cut off those dog ears. And then I'm just going to do a quick check on this. It should be 4.5 inches square. And that looks pretty good. All right, now we're going to set that guy aside. Let's work on the next part. So now we're going to make these hourglasses. And I'm just going to lay it out first, just so I know what needs to be sewn to what here. And these nice navy blues are going to go all in the center. And then the fabric A on the outside for the star points. And the background fabric for the top of those hourglasses. I think that's going to look really pretty. Okay, now I'm just going to sew these together. And I'm going to do them first by sewing 2 triangles together on these short sides here. And then these 2 as well. And then I'm going to press the seams. And then I'm going to sew the 2 sets together to create our hour block. All right, let's get started with this one. Again, I'm just using a scant 1/4 inch in all of these. All right, I got my first 2 sets of triangles done. And I am just going to press the seam for all of these towards fabric A. That way when I go to sew these together, they're going to nest pretty nicely. All right, now I'm just going to line up the seams here. I'll probably put a few pins in there to keep that in place. And then I'm going to sew 1/4 inch along this long side here. Okay, so I've got my first one done, and you might want to just clip the seam a little bit, because then you can stay consistent with having that direction just fall more naturally. So I think I'm going to do that when I sew these together. All right, so that first one's done, and I'm just going to repeat that same process on these other 3 sets here. Okay, so now I have these hourglasses all sewn up, and these should also measure 4.5 inches square as well. And they look pretty good. I am going to cut off these dog ears too, and then we are almost ready to assemble the whole block. Okay, so we're going to bring back our square within square. That's going to be our centerpiece here. And we've got our 4 hourglasses to make up the star. And then we need our 4.5 inch squares from our background fabric. And now I can assemble this block. So I'm just going to sew it together in rows, and then I'll come back and show you the finished star. And there we have block 18 done. I actually think this one turned out really nice, especially with that little yellow in the middle. So if you're following along, we just have one more block to go for this Slow Summer Stars series, which actually is kind of sad because that means summer is almost over. And because summer is almost over, I am going to try to release these last 2 ones pretty quickly, just to make sure I can get them in before the last day of summer. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and visit our little shop at delafieldquiltco.com. Have a great day.